Why do some faces feel wrong? Not terrified, not disgusted, just uneasy. A doll staring directly into the camera. A mannequin with a face that looks almost alive. A robot smiling with eyes that do not seem to understand emotion. A digital human that looks real for half a second. Until something small breaks the illusion. The eyes do not blink correctly. The skin looks too smooth. The smile is almost right, but not quite. And suddenly, your brain reacts. Something feels wrong. But why? Why can something look almost human and still feel deeply inhuman? This strange feeling has a name, the Uncanny Valley, and the more we build machines, avatars, robots, and artificial faces that look like us, the more important this phenomenon becomes. Because the Uncanny Valley may not just tell us something about robots, it may tell us something much deeper about ourselves. Take a look at an old photograph of a child sitting with a strange costumed figure behind them. There is nothing supernatural in the image. No blood, no monster, no obvious violence. And yet, many people feel uncomfortable the moment they see it. Why? The answer is not simply that the image is old, or that the lighting is strange, or that the costume looks unusual. The real reason may be that the figure behind the child is difficult for the brain to classify. It looks human, but not fully human. It has a face, but the face does not behave like a normal face. It has eyes, but the eyes feel lifeless. It has the shape of a person, but something in the proportions, the expression, or the posture feels wrong. And this is exactly where the discomfort begins. The human brain is extremely good at recognizing faces. We can detect tiny changes in emotion, a small smile, a slight narrowing of the eyes, a look of fear, a fake expression. A face is not just an object to us. It is one of the most important things we process. A face can tell us if someone is friendly, dangerous, sick, angry, alive, or dead. So when we see something that looks almost human, but not completely human, the brain enters a strange conflict. One part of us says, "This is a person." Another part says, "No, it is not." And that contradiction creates the feeling we call uncanny. I remember something from when I was a child. Every Christmas, my father would dress up as Santa Claus and come into the room to bring us presents. It should have been a happy moment, a magical moment, a moment every child is supposed to love. But I remember the feeling differently. The moment I saw that Santa mask, I froze. Completely. I knew it was supposed to be Santa. I knew it was supposed to be safe. But something inside me reacted as if I was looking at something alien. Something that had the shape of a person, but was not truly a person. The face was familiar. The costume was familiar. The voice was familiar. But the mask made everything feel wrong. It was not just fear. It was confusion. A deep, silent discomfort. Like my brain could not decide what I was seeing. Was it my father? Was it Santa? Was it a stranger? Was it human? For a few seconds, it felt like the most terrifying thing I had ever experienced. And maybe that is why the Uncanny Valley is so powerful. Because it does not need monsters. It does not need violence. It only needs something almost human, standing in front of you. The term Uncanny Valley was introduced in 1970 by Japanese roboticist Masahiro Mori. He noticed something strange. As robots become more human-like, people usually find them more appealing. A simple industrial robot does not feel threatening. A cartoon robot can feel cute. A robot with arms, eyes, and a friendly voice may feel even more familiar. But as the robot gets closer and closer to looking fully human, something unexpected happens. At a certain point, our emotional response suddenly drops. The robot becomes too human to be treated like a machine, but not human enough to be accepted as a person. This drop is the valley, the Uncanny Valley. If something looks clearly artificial, we accept it. If something looks completely human, we accept it. But if something gets trapped in the middle, almost human, but not quite, it becomes disturbing. This is why a cartoon character can be lovable, while a hyper-realistic CGI face can feel wrong. It is why a simple toy can be charming, while a realistic doll can seem haunted. It is why a robot with a metal face may feel less disturbing than a robot with artificial skin, glass eyes, and a human smile. The problem is not that it looks too fake. The problem is that it looks almost real. But here's where the mystery becomes much deeper. The Uncanny Valley may not have started with robots. It may be far older than technology, older than computers, older than cinema, maybe even older than civilization itself. Some researchers believe that this feeling may come from ancient survival mechanisms. For our ancestors, being able to detect something wrong in another face could have been extremely important. A person who looked pale, stiff, motionless, or expressionless might have been sick. A body that looked human but did not move correctly might have been dead. A face that seemed familiar but behaved strangely could signal disease, infection, injury, or danger. In that world, feeling uncomfortable was not useless. It could be protective. If your brain noticed something wrong and told you to stay away, that reaction might have helped you survive. This could explain why the Uncanny Valley is so powerful. It does not feel like a rational decision. It feels instant, automatic, almost primitive. You do not look at a creepy doll and carefully analyze its proportions. You simply feel that something is wrong. Your body reacts before your mind has time to explain it. And that may be because this response comes from a very old part of us, a part of the brain that was never designed for robots. It was designed for survival. Long before artificial intelligence, long before humanoid robots, humans were already creating faces that existed between life and death. Masks, statues, wax figures, puppets, dolls, religious icons, funeral figures. Some of them were beautiful, some were sacred, some were meant to comfort, but others created a strange emotional tension. They had human eyes, but no inner life. They had human expressions, but no emotion behind them. They had the shape of a person, but not the presence of a living mind. This is one reason old dolls can feel so disturbing. They are not frightening because they can move. They are frightening because they look like they might. A doll does not need to attack you to feel unsettling. It only needs to sit still and stare. The same is true for masks. A mask hides the face, but it also creates another one, and the face it creates often feels frozen. It can smile forever, it can stare forever, it can express emotion without actually feeling anything. This is the core of the uncanny, a human signal without a human source, a face without a person behind it. But there is another possibility, a darker one. What if the Uncanny Valley did not evolve only to protect us from disease, death, or artificial faces? What if it also helped us recognize something much closer to us? Other humans. For most of our history, Homo sapiens was not alone. We shared the planet with other kinds of humans, Neanderthals, Denisovans, Homo floresiensis, Homo luzonensis, and perhaps others we have not even discovered yet. They were not animals. They were not monsters. They were human relatives. Some made tools. Some used fire. Some cared for their injured. Some may have created symbols. And some were close enough to us that our ancestors even interbred with them. But they were not exactly like us. Their faces may have been different. Their bodies may have moved differently. Their proportions were not the same. A heavy brow, a wider face, a shorter body, a stronger frame, a different posture, a different way of looking back. Now imagine meeting one of them face to face, not in a museum, not in a reconstruction, but alive, standing in front of you, looking almost human, thinking, breathing, watching you. Would your first reaction be curiosity, fear, recognition, or discomfort? This is where the idea becomes unsettling. Maybe the Uncanny Valley is not only about things that look artificial. Maybe it appears whenever the brain encounters something that is close enough to human to demand recognition, but different enough to create uncertainty. For our ancestors, that uncertainty may have mattered. A stranger who looked almost like us, but not quite, could have been a rival, a threat, a member of another group, or even another human species. There is no direct scientific proof that the Uncanny Valley evolved specifically to protect Homo sapiens from other human species. But the idea is disturbing because it fits something we already know. The human brain is obsessed with faces. It is obsessed with small differences. It can detect emotion, identity, age, health, and intention in a fraction of a second. So maybe the feeling of almost human but wrong is not a modern glitch. Maybe it is ancient. Maybe it comes from a time when the boundary between us and not us was not philosophical. It was survival. And perhaps, somewhere deep inside the brain, that boundary still exists. A face can be familiar. A face can be human. But if it is human in the wrong way, something inside us still reacts. But what happens when the valley disappears? What happens when the face is no longer almost human, but completely convincing? This is no longer a distant question. AI-generated faces are already realistic enough to fool people. Synthetic voices can already sound emotional. Digital avatars can already speak, smile, and react in real time. Humanoid robots are improving every year. And at some point, the difference may become impossible to notice. When that happens, the uncanny valley may not look like a valley anymore. It may become invisible. The robot will not feel disturbing because it looks wrong. It will feel normal because it looks right. The artificial face will no longer trigger discomfort. It will simply be accepted. And that may be even more unsettling. Because the real danger of crossing the uncanny valley is not that machines will look creepy. It is that they will stop looking creepy. They will become familiar, comfortable, trustworthy, human enough. And then the question changes. Not, why does this face feel wrong? But, how would we know if it was not real? It may take a long time before we fully understand the truth, before we understand exactly how this mechanism appeared, how it evolved, and why the human brain reacts so strongly to faces that are almost human. Maybe the uncanny valley developed to protect us from disease, from death, from bodies that looked human but no longer behaved like the living. Maybe it helped our ancestors detect danger in a face, a strange expression, an unnatural stillness, a body that moved in the wrong way. Maybe it was shaped by ancient encounters with other human species, Neanderthals, Denisovans, other relatives who were close enough to us to feel familiar, but different enough to make the brain hesitate. Or maybe the truth is even more complicated. Maybe the uncanny valley is not one mechanism at all. Maybe it is many instincts overlapping: fear of disease, fear of death, fear of deception, fear of the unfamiliar, fear of something that looks like us, but does not belong with us. And that is what makes it so disturbing. Because when we look at a doll, a mask, a statue, an artificial face, or a humanoid machine, we are not just reacting to what is in front of us. We may be reacting to something ancient, something buried deep inside the human brain, a warning we inherited long before we understood what it meant. Maybe one day science will explain it completely. Maybe we will discover exactly why certain faces make us uncomfortable. Maybe we will understand why the almost human can feel more disturbing than something that is not human at all. But until then, the feeling remains. That quiet hesitation, that instinctive discomfort, that moment when the brain cannot decide what it is looking at. Is it alive? Is it human? Is it safe? Is there someone behind those eyes? Or only the appearance of someone? Maybe the uncanny valley is not just a fear of robots. Maybe it is not just a fear of dolls, masks, or artificial faces. Maybe it is the fear of a boundary being crossed. The boundary between life and imitation. Between human and almost human. Between something we understand and something that reminds us of ourselves in the wrong way. And perhaps that is why the feeling is so hard to ignore. Because the face is familiar, the eyes are familiar, the shape is familiar, but somewhere deep inside us, something still asks, why does this feel wrong? Let me know what you think in the comments. And if you enjoy exploring mysteries like this, consider subscribing, because in the next video, we'll tackle another question that might completely change the way you see reality.